Hello everyone, it's Will again, and I've got a review here of the CBD Tarot de Marseille by Dr. Yoav Ben Dov, or Dov. And so I just thought we'd take a peek at it. It's based on the Nicholas Conver deck from 1760. It's a lovely little deck published by US Games. I've had this deck for quite some time, but I went ahead and put the cards all in order so that we can do a flip through. And since I've worked with it for a while, I've had a chance to form some opinions about this deck. Here's the little white book. Pretty standard. The box is pretty standard as well. Sturdy, holding together. So here are the cards. The deck comes with this card. Here's the back. And one blank card, which is pretty interesting. Totally blank card. And then here we go. Here's the first deck. So you'll see there is a copyright on each card that just says 2017 US Games. So, thoughts about this deck. I find that it's a great study deck, obviously, assuming you're interested in Tarot de Marseille. The card stock is probably my biggest complaint about this deck, and it's fine. It's flexible, right? But it does have a tendency, it wants to curl this way, and so when I riffle shuffle this deck repeatedly, I find that the whole thing wants to just curve a little bit like this, and I don't love that. The second issue, which I think you can maybe kind of see, is it is very prone to picking up dirt, residue, whatever it is, and it does come off, but it wants to pick up dirt, and I don't love that. It's not the worst thing, and I use my decks, they get a lot of love, and so I don't mind that they show some wear, but this particular cardstock does seem to be showing particularly dirt more than other decks that I have, and so that is something to consider. So let's do a flip through of each of the cards. And then I'll shuffle them and we'll do a little deck interview reading. I will say that because this deck is a reproduction of the 1760 Conver deck, it feels old. The images feel old. You'll see card number 13 doesn't have a title. It's a good price for this deck too. I think I paid just over $20 for it. And I will say, for all of the criticisms that I had of the cardstock, I think if you are planning to study Tarot de Marseille, you should get this deck. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who plans on learning Tarot de Marseille. Especially, it's like a really low cost entry point into Tarot de Marseille. You can get it for like 20 bucks, as I said, and it's perfect for studying. It reads quite well, I would say. I do know that from what I've read about this deck, he made some small changes, particularly, I believe, to the faces of the cards, like the court cards and in the major arcana. I love, by the way, this Ace of Cups. I think it's really cool. And so he made changes to the faces to make them like a little more happy or modern, because I guess on the Conver deck, they're a little more scowly or sour, we might say. The aces are really cool in this deck. I also really like this 2 of swords with this lovely flower. Okay, so here we are with coins. You can see Conver 1760, Bendov 2010. Okay, so that's a little flip through of each of the cards. What I'll do now is shuffle these at least 7 times, and they shuffle really well. It's a lovely riffle shuffle, but the issue isn't that they don't shuffle well. The issue, you can already start to see it, I think. A curve is starting to happen. Do you see this with the cardstock? After just 2 shuffles. And so the more of these I do, the more it's going to be noticeable. And you can bend it back. It's not like it gets stuck that way. But I guess what I'd say is the cardstock kind of has some memory to it. Like this cardstock really wants to curve a certain direction. And so you have to convince it to go back the other way. And that's just a little annoying sometimes. You know, because I have other decks that don't do that. You know, most of my other decks don't do that. I'd say this one in particular is noticeable for this issue. But again, it's a small issue. I still highly recommend this deck. I think it's great. I'm glad that I have it and I use it a lot. As you can tell from the way that it collects dirt and stuff, the way that it shows wear on the edges of the cards. And you know, if I didn't bridge shuffle these, then I don't think it would get this curving happening. But do you see it's trying to curve, right? So then I can bend it back, right? Like if I do this, it will go back. But as I shuffle more, it's gonna try to do that again. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of picky. but it's just a little thing. Okay, so I've probably shuffled these enough. So what I'll do now is, let's ask a question. Let's just ask, what can this deck teach us? That's an easy one. What can this deck, the CBD Conver Ben Dove Tarot de Marseille, what can this deck teach us about tarot? What can this deck teach us about tarot? Of course. Of course the devil shows up. Why not? Why not? Okay. So then let's see. What can the CBD Tarot de Marseille teach us about tarot? Well, it can teach us that the tarot can either, if you don't use it wisely perhaps, can yoke you to bad habits, that it can be, if misused, it can suck you in, but maybe it can also liberate you in the sense that if you are already yoked, the tarot can be the demon, the devil, the figure who you get free from, right? That the tarot can show you the way to slip the yoke off your neck. Three of Wands, in order to find a new direction, right? So if you're stuck, if you're like, there's a big X in your life ahead of you, right? The tarot can empower you to find a new direction forward, even if it's not an obvious path. Ooh, 9 Swords. Let's see. And it can give you the courage to fight. The courage to fight through despite all obstacles and challenges. So what can the TBD Tarot de Marseille teach us about tarot? Well, it can teach us that the tarot can help you get free of your bondage by finding a new direction forward, even if the path is unclear, and give you the courage to fight for what you need to do. All right, well, I hope you found this review helpful. I think it's fun that the devil chose to show up in this reading with this deck. And check this deck out. It's a good one to have around. It's great if you're wanting to get into Tarot de Marseille in particular. Have a great day, everyone.